A new statue of the philosopher Confucius looks out over the entrance to China's National Museum in Beijing. It's billed as the world's largest museum, fitting in a country that likes to do things on a grand scale. The 2,000 square meter building was newly renovated and rebuilt by German architects. Germany has also provided the museum's first big exhibition. Titled The Art of Enlightenment, it features 600 works from the 17th and 18th centuries on loan from state collections in Berlin, Dresden and Munich. Heinrike Dannecker is the star of the show, a portrait of a young and confident woman clad in the colors of the French Revolution, a vision of freedom and an embodiment of the enlightened person. The term stood for a new model of humanity, driven by a cosmopolitan curiosity. The Age of Enlightenment also heralded new frontiers in education and technology. One of the driving forces of this Sino-German cultural venture is Martin Roth. As Director General of the Dresden State Art Collections, he spent a decade laying the groundwork for the project. That meant developing contacts who could bring politicians on board.
What makes this exhibition so important and so immediate is the fact that it's here for an entire year, and that's very unconventional in the museum world. We built an actual gallery here for an entire year, and we created an academic program with the help of the Mercator Foundation, and BMW helped us develop a music program, readings, and much more. So it's not just an exhibition, it's really the entire package.
All at a cost of some 10 million euros. At the opening ceremony, museum directors sat alongside representatives of the project's main benefactor, the German Foreign Ministry, as well as a car company co-sponsoring the exhibition. Germany's cultural ambassadors in China. It's a culmination of 6 years of preparation by museum curators in both China and Germany.
The exhibition aims to foster a connection between China and Europe. Back then, a lot of Chinese art and porcelain from Asia was brought to Europe, including Germany. There were close ties early on. Later, the ideas of the Enlightenment reached Chinese intellectuals, and that greatly influenced the development of Chinese society at the time.
A shared past, but what about the present? The Enlightenment also represented a new kind of freedom, emancipation of the individual, liberation from paternalism. It symbolized the development of a middle-class civil society, and the presence of artists to shake up the status quo. Enlightenment ideals might well be seen as a nightmare for Chinese authorities, and the exhibition steers clear of references to present-day issues. That makes the exhibition's location all the more controversial, on Tiananmen Square in central Beijing. What transpired here in June of 1989 is a taboo subject in modern-day China. It was a massacre. The government brutally quashed a protest by students demanding freedom of expression and democracy. More than 2 decades later, those freedoms have yet to be realized. Zhang Dali experienced the events on Tiananmen Square firsthand. He's one of few artists who dare speak out against the government. His hanging sculptures embody the bitter fate of migrant workers in China's turbo-capitalist society. As much as Zhang would like to take part in the official dialogue on enlightenment between Germany and China, voices like his are unwelcome.
I'd like them to invite more artists and let them have their say. The exhibition is a cultural event. not just something organized by state institutions. They shouldn't only invite experts who are specialized in the Enlightenment, but hold an open discussion and bring in a lot of contemporary artists.
One of the few artists who have been invited is Fang Lijun. His works enjoy international fame and are in great demand on the global art market. But Fang is skeptical because the subjects that move him are off limits in China.
I would have liked to hear open and free discussions about the Enlightenment. I think the most interesting aspect would be talking about freedom. Everyone would like to discuss the lack of freedom in China.
The last section of the exhibition is designed to show how the ideas of the Enlightenment are reflected in modern-day art. But the works by Warhol, Penck and Baselitz appear harmless somehow and arbitrary. Another example of how the organizers tentatively approached the controversial theme of the exhibition.
I don't think it's the political aspect that makes the exhibition interesting. Touching upon the human rights issue as soon as you're in China is always the cheap and easy way to go. The questions have to be asked in a more subtle manner.
Meinhard von Gerkan also knows what it's like to walk a thin tightrope in China. His plan to rebuild the National Museum won an international competition. But little remains of his clever, futuristic design. Compromises had to be made.
We changed the plans that won the competition in accordance with the client's wishes. We would have liked to see a roof with a huge exhibition area and a fantastic view of the Forbidden City. But they wanted it to be based more on the past than a futuristic design linked to the future.
So the facade remained in harmony with the rest of the square's buildings. Late 1950s Soviet-style architecture with Chinese folklore. The message was clear: continuity and no bold experiments. What China wants to achieve with the exhibition remains unclear, but a debate on human rights is definitely not called for. Right now, the party leaders are reacting especially sensitively to calls for democracy. But Germans are hoping to send a political message through a cultural medium.
I think the money is extremely well spent when it comes to explaining Germany in general, German history, European history, and economics, and why German companies are here in China. If you want to strengthen that, and perhaps pave the way toward making it easier to work together in the future, then this investment has really paid off.
The 18th century German writer Friedrich Schiller wrote that art is the daughter of freedom, a statement that, if spoken too loudly, could have got him into a lot of hot water in modern-day China.